Okay, welcome to this explainer. I want you to just take a deep breath, settle in, maybe let your shoulders drop a little bit. Today, we're diving into something that is deeply personal, honestly, incredibly common, but almost never talked about out loud. We are stepping into what we call the echo chamber, or the silent theater of the mind. So if you've ever felt like your internal world is, way more crowded and vocal than your external one, you are in exactly the right place. And more importantly, you are entirely safe here. Let's take this journey together.
All right, let's dive right into this by painting a picture and tell me if this feels viscerally familiar to you. It's 11:38 p.m. You just got home from work or maybe some social event. You pull into the driveway, you park, the engine's off, but you don't get out of the car. Instead, you're just sitting there staring blankly through the windshield, completely lost in thought. You're replaying a conversation that, well, never actually happened. You're perfectly scripting exactly what you really should have said to your boss today, or maybe you're piecing together the exact words of an apology you've practiced literally dozens of times, but you absolutely know you're never going to send it.
Now, notice the profound contrast here. Because to anyone walking past your car right then, you look completely quiet. You are perfectly still. But inside your mind, oh man, there is an entire elaborate theater running and it's a full house. Your lips aren't moving, yet the dialogue in your head is loud, it's perfectly articulate, and it's incredibly detailed. You are literally playing both roles, arguing, defending, confessing, and with frightening accuracy, right? I really want to pause right here and just validate this for you. If this intense, constant rehearsal feels painfully familiar, listen to me. You are not strange, and you are definitely not broken.
So, the absolutely crucial point is how we frame this whole experience. We have got to stop calling it just overthinking or treating it like some kind of personality flaw. Actually, scratch that. It's not a flaw at all. It is a brilliant survival strategy. This is an invisible conversation your mind deliberately constructs to keep you emotionally alive when real connection out in the world feels either super unsafe or just entirely unavailable. Your mind is doing exactly what it firmly believes it needs to do to protect you. It's a powerful protective adaptation.
And there's actual hard neuroscience behind why this happens. See, human nervous systems are fundamentally biologically designed for something called co-regulation. And co-regulation simply means feeling calm because another calm, safe person is literally nearby to help anchor your nervous system. But what happens when that safe person just isn't available? Well, your brain has to improvise. It pivots to self-regulation by, get this, literally building a substitute listener out of words. It creates this phantom presence to help you process all the overwhelming emotions you're carrying around. So how does this biological need actually play out in our day-to-day lives? Well, in those quiet moments in your car, or lying in bed staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., you are not being dramatic. You are actively trying to regulate your nervous system. You're rehearsing safety. Because language is how we humans make sense of chaos. When no one is there to listen, your mind just volunteers to step up. It plays both the child asking for comfort and the adult offering it, all so you can borrow a little courage before having to go face the reality that, let's be honest, often feels intensely unpredictable. To really grasp this, we kind of have to look at the timeline of how this develops. Because this private theater, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's basically a quiet map of your history. Step one usually starts way back in childhood. If you grew up with caregivers who were critical, maybe emotionally neglectful, or just deeply unpredictable, your developing brain learned a really hard lesson super early on. Speaking openly can lead to disappointment, shame, or even punishment. So, moving to step two, your brain built a safer alternative. It taught you to talk inward instead of outward. And that right there leads directly to step three, which is the adult inner theater you're experiencing today. I want you to think of this inner voice as a bodyguard. It is standing directly between you and the very real, very scary threat of rejection. When you spend hours talking to yourself, what looks like an isolating habit is actually a lifelong, desperate attempt to finally be heard. Your inner voice kind of grew and expanded to fill a psychological space that was originally meant to be held by someone else. It's doing all the heavy lifting of keeping you safe from the sting of vulnerability. However, we do have to acknowledge the quiet tragedy of this habit. While it absolutely kept you safe, the more perfect that listener in your mind becomes, well, the harder and colder the real outside world starts to feel. Think about it. When you have a perfectly empathetic, perfectly understanding phantom listener in your head, real people, with all their messy flaws, misunderstandings, and unpredictable reactions, they just feel exhausting. What began as a comforting refuge, a really safe harbor, slowly turns into a cage where you're spending hours living in these invisible drafts of your life that never actually happen. But here is the good news, and honestly, the core purpose of this explainer today. The goal of your personal healing is absolutely not to silence or kill this inner voice. No way. It kept you alive. It deserves your deep respect and gratitude. Instead, the goal is just to gently teach it a new job. We want to take that protective wall you've built around yourself and slowly, carefully reshape it into a connecting bridge back to other people. So let's look at exactly how to do that with some highly actionable steps for your healing journey. Step 1, write it down. Take those looping, endless thoughts and literally move the dialogue from the invisible circle of your mind onto a physical piece of paper. This makes the invisible visible and gives your brain a chance to finally release it. And then, step 2, which is absolutely my favorite, is the 30% rule. Look, you do not have to share your entire script with someone. That's way too overwhelming. Just try sharing 30% of what you've mentally rehearsed with one single safe person in your life. Now, why just 30%? Because it's all about letting human friction back into your life, but safely. Instead of delivering that perfectly polished speech you've been rehearsing in the shower for a week, just offer one honest, kind of messy fragment to someone. When you do this, you let a real live human nervous system respond to you in ways you just couldn't possibly script in your head. And that is vital. It leaves room for unpredictable kindness, unexpected empathy, and that beautiful friction where true, lasting healing actually lives. I really want you to let this sink in for a second. You do not have to carry the heavy burden of playing both the speaker and the witness forever. It is incredibly exhausting holding up both ends of a conversation just to feel safe, isn't it? It's time to gently, slowly let one of those seats back into the real world, exactly where it belongs. You deserve to just be the speaker and let someone else do the hard work of listening for a change. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, maybe a little provocative thought. What does your inner theater sound like? Who are the recurring characters? What are the scripts you find yourself repeating the most? If this resonated with you today, I highly encourage you to leave a comment below sharing just a piece of your inner theater. Remember, you are not alone in this quiet space, and opening up here is actually a fantastic way to practice that 30% rule we talked about. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the mind, and I literally cannot wait to explore more fascinating topics with you next time.